Why am I here? Do you think I invited you to get revenge for stealing my life and taking my kid away from me? Do you think I want to make you pay? I don't know, do you?
Yes, yes, she does.
Blake Lively has been pushing a victim narrative, but the facts tell a different story. While Justin Baldoni stayed silent as his reputation took hits, insiders are now speaking out. Shocking evidence contradicts Blake's claims about what happened on set, and it turns out someone else was pulling the strings all along. The truth is finally coming to light.
Do not trust you. You have lied too much. You have fudged truths. You are trying to hide so much information that you are like your character in a simple favor, and I can't unsee it. I can't.
Did you know that for months, Justin Baldoni stayed completely silent while his reputation was being dismantled in public? The real story is far more shocking than most realize. What began as a hopeful press tour for It Ends With Us quickly spiraled into one of Hollywood's most talked about feuds of the year. Fans were the first to notice something was off when Blake Lively and Justin stopped appearing together at promotional events, a major red flag for any high-profile film rollout. Soon, the entertainment media was flooded with anonymous sources, and insiders painting Justin as controlling, difficult, and impossible to work with. Headlines like "Trouble on Set," "Director's Ego Ruins Press Tour," and Blake's struggles with difficult co-star began surfacing everywhere, but through all of it, Justin said nothing. Not a single social media post, interview, or public comment. What? Because he legally couldn't. According to an industry attorney who reviewed the documents, Baldoni was bound by one of the most restrictive NDAs the attorney had seen in over 15 years of entertainment law. The language effectively gagged Justin, silencing him entirely, while Blake had no such constraints, leaving her free to shape the public narrative unchallenged. Behind the scenes, Blake Lively was orchestrating a masterclass in Hollywood image control. Internal text messages between crew members, obtained exclusively for this story, reveal their growing confusion over how the situation was being portrayed. Why is everyone saying Justin was the problem? That's literally the opposite of what happened, wrote one assistant director to a colleague. Another message read, "This is crazy. We were all there. This is not what went down at all." The power dynamics were impossible to ignore. With her A-list status, deep ties to major studios, and a circle of elite celebrity friends, Blake held immense influence. Justin, despite his success with Jane the Virgin, simply didn't have the same clout to defend himself publicly. When someone like Blake turns the narrative against you, your options are extremely limited, explained a former studio executive, especially when she brings powerful friends into the mix. And Blake's circle didn't stay silent. Taylor Swift, Ryan Reynolds, and other major stars subtly reinforced Blake's version of events through carefully timed social media interactions, likes, supportive comments, and public appearances that sent a strong message to millions of fans even if they didn't know the full truth. As one PR strategist put it, it was a masterful use of celebrity influence. When Justin finally did speak out, his words were calm, professional, and non-confrontational. He made no accusations, simply thanking fans and expressing his dedication to the project. But by then, it was too late. His silence had already been weaponized, reframed as guilt. "It's a brilliant PR move," said one crisis manager. By the time he could speak, the narrative was so locked in that anything he said would seem like damage control.
Too much, in my opinion. She wants all celebrity correspondence to be private. It's called AEO, which is Attorney's Eyes Only. All sort of private mentions from celebrities, etc., should be only for the attorneys. It's like, girl, no. You published his text messages. Can we just hold on, Blake? You published his text messages in a complaint that wasn't even a lawsuit, and then gave it to the New York Times before you filed it officially. You're a despicable and a massive hypocrite. And so now you're complaining about privacy? Oh, this is such an important private matter. You were on Saturday Night Live letting your husband make a mockery of your whole thing. Oh, is there something that's going on? Yeah, there's something going on. And you shouldn't have been there cracking jokes about it. I'm sure they could have seen you at the other studio and you could have enjoyed the night without being on television. But you guys couldn't help yourself. So you want to have all the abilities to go online, defend yourself, publicly mock, do whatever you want. But when you want it to be private, you just get to decide that it's not how.
The same woman who masterfully orchestrated Justin Baldoni's public takedown has also been delivering another carefully crafted performance, one that's been running for years. According to multiple crew members from It Ends With Us, the Blake Lively the public sees and the Blake behind the scenes are two entirely different people. And once the cameras stopped rolling, the transformation left many stunned. Let's set the scene. In interviews and public appearances, Blake is all charm, sharing funny stories about her kids, radiating relatable mom energy, and making fans feel like she could be their best friend. But behind closed doors, crew members say she was anything but warm and approachable. There were two Blake Lively's shared a production coordinator who asked to remain anonymous. It was like watching someone flip a switch. The moment the press left, her whole energy changed. She'd stopped smiling, and suddenly no one was allowed to look her in the eye. Makeup artists were reportedly treated with particular cruelty. One recalled being publicly berated over a barely visible smudge. She screamed at me in front of everyone, the artist said, then demanded I be removed from set for disrespecting her face. Another was allegedly fired on the spot for making direct eye contact with her during a touch-up. Even basic communication became difficult. Rather than speaking directly to nearby crew members, Blake reportedly passed messages through her assistants, creating a cold and demeaning atmosphere on set. It felt like we weren't even people, said one crew member. Her diva behavior didn't stop there. Multiple sources confirmed that Blake frequently arrived on set 2 to 3 hours late, delaying production and costing the studio thousands in overtime, and once she did show up, the demands began. She insisted on reviewing the script every morning, revealed a writer's assistant. Lines that had been locked in for weeks would suddenly need rewrites because they didn't feel authentic enough to her. But perhaps most telling was Blake's obsession with her on-camera appearance. A production assistant shared that she would review footage multiple times a day and demand reshoots if she didn't look flawless in every frame, regardless of time constraints or budget concerns. When Justin Baldoni finally tried to step in and advocate for the overworked crew, some of whom were pushing through 16-hour days, Blake's response was swift and brutal. Within hours of raising concerns, producers received calls from her team. Justin was immediately told to stay in his lane and focus solely on his own performance. What happened next would reshape the entire narrative and cost him dearly.
She also alleged sexual harassment.
Yes, she alleged sexual harassment against Baldoni, and he said, look, here are all the text messages. Here is the whole arc of our relationship. There's no sexual harassment here. His attorney, Brian Friedman, has been feeding the media snippets, the audio from
a text here, a voice note there.
That's right. And he's releasing things. I talked about this with Charlie a couple days ago. He's releasing things that aren't entirely flattering to him. They are both. They're just like, here's everything.
Which makes it seem more honest. I think that has kind of helped him, because people see like the voice note that was 6.5 minutes long, where at the end he's like, oh, I know you've got a baby on your boob right now.
Yes.
It's cringy and creepy and weird. Is it sexual harassment? A lot of people don't think it is. It's just, he's an awkward, weird dude. But by not trying to paint himself as this huge, great, perfect hero, it makes her look worse.
I completely agree. He doesn't look like he's cherry picking. He looks like, here's all the blemishes. I'm a little weird. I'm a little cringy. I left a long voice note to a married woman. I said I wanted all of her. I said she's got a kid on her boob. Yeah, I'm weird, but I'm not a sexual harasser.
He wasn't saying like he wanted to hook up with her. He wasn't calling her like weird derogatory names or anything. He was just...
While the crew was told to stay in your lane, what happened behind closed doors during the film's most intimate scenes told a completely different story. According to multiple sources, Blake Lively wasn't just acting in these romantic moments. With Justin Baldoni, she was micromanaging every detail. And in what insiders are calling the most shocking twist of all, she later claimed those very scenes made her uncomfortable. When it came time to film the movie's steamiest moments, Blake made a bold and unprecedented move. She refused to work with the professional intimacy coordinator hired for the production. She insisted she knew exactly how she wanted the scenes to look, said one camera operator, who was present on multiple shoots. She didn't want anyone else deciding how her body would be portrayed. Production notes from the script supervisor back up this claim. They show that Blake personally requested changes to increase physical contact in several key scenes, often going beyond what was originally written in the script. In one particularly telling case, she pushed for a more explicit bedroom scene dialogue and extending the physical interaction by nearly a full minute. Blake's control didn't stop at the script. Just before filming these sensitive scenes, she sent an email to executive producers requesting that specific crew members be removed from set. Namely, 3 technicians known to be close with Justin, including his preferred camera operator. This maneuver left Justin surrounded only by crew loyal to Blake during their most vulnerable on-screen moments. Witnesses describe behavior from Blake that sharply contradicts her later statements. She would literally cut herself. If Justin wasn't exactly where she wanted, said a lighting technician, she'd say things like, put your hand here, not there, and kiss me longer this time. She was essentially directing those scenes, and after each take, Blake would immediately demand playback. If she didn't like how she looked, from a certain angle, the scene would be reshot sometimes 15 or 20 times until her appearance was just right. We'd redo entire sequences just because she didn't like one frame, confirmed an assistant director. But perhaps the most unsettling part, while she was asserting complete creative control over these intimate moments, Blake was also laying the groundwork for a different story. Multiple production members confirmed that she was simultaneously sending carefully worded texts to producers expressing discomfort about the very scenes she was orchestrating. She was building a paper trail, said one production coordinator. It was clear she was architecting a narrative in real time, one that could be used later to shift blame and protect her image.
And I imagine the judge is going to start getting frustrated because no one's agreeing to any side of anything. They just refuse to meet in the middle. And so there's a few parts in this document that I think are really important to talk about, including, yes, calling out content creators, but trying to there's a lot of legal speak, etc. Leaving aside the callous disregard and disrespect for a woman, advocating for the most basic workplace protections against SH. Debatable, Blake. The Wayfair Party's position that a woman who speaks up against SH has somehow waived any and all privacy interests shows the futility of future conferral. Wow, no, it doesn't. It's incredibly important that all this go up because you published a lot of this publicly. This is beyond just the complaint. You published it to the New York Times and you defamed him and disparaged him, and he disagrees with you. I don't agree that all SH claims moving forward should be put in a silent, quiet chamber where we must believe the woman. Are you nuts? Are you nuts? You made this a public battle, and now it is a public battle, and Justin has every right to fight this publicly to clear his name, because you have a lot of things you refuse to take accountability for. Talking about how the edit has nothing to do with this. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. A lot of this has a lot to do with everything. So anyway, she's trying to claim that because they've spoken out or intend to speak out against Wayfair, they forfeit their privacy rights. You kind of did. Women who raised SH claims were waive any privacy rights has no legal support, and it's directly contrary to sites cated. So they're trying to say, like, we are allowed to have confidentiality because this is an SH claim, and therefore it's so important that it must be secret. We must control and protect everyone. And then they're trying to say, look, I'll shield public certain documents. Of course, she always tries to bold like the obvious. No one's disputing that there's certain obvious legal things that would be protected on both sides, but she just wants it to go even further, and it's maddening. So then she goes into here. She tries to claim here that discovery will have confidential documents or information of the public disclosure of which will cause harm to the producing person and or third party to whom duty of confidentiality is owed, and to protect against injury caused by dissemination of confidential documents information. The argument of who gets to decide what's confidential is very interesting, because a lot of this stuff, other cast members, Taylor Swift, have all been sort of inserted on this, thanks to you, Blake. And now it's gone against Justin, which Justin disputes and says that's not true. So when you get this information, or if your co-stars end up not supporting you, that all is private. And then what? We don't get to know that? No, I disagree. We deserve to have this. And honestly, I think all of this should always be public.